Yeah. So I would just probably like you to just like introduce yourself because like we have read a couple of things online and specifically like you're the co-founder of KosmoPad and I think you've won a couple of awards and really we read a couple of things about like your social venture, but I would like you to like tell us who is Blandine and why should probably people like be interested in like your vision or your social company. So like if you can go ahead and just like in your own words, actually, that's what I'm like interested in.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm Blandine Umuziranenge. I'm the founder and CEO of Kosmotive. It's a social enterprise based in Kigali, Rwanda. And among the initiatives we do is KosmoPads, that I think is so now overtaking the brand, known more than even the company. But yeah, our like the targets since I started it in 2014, and the target was to improve maternal and child health. And later 2017, that's when I incorporated the menstrual health
Yeah.
deeply. And 2018 started now focusing on the Cosmopads. And my background is in IT. And from IT, I went for business and ICT. And that's where the idea came from. I had a lot, so like the business, the IT, the communication, and my professional experience was in media as an IT, but in media. So my network was journalists. I had IT, I had business, I had communication. So when I started 2014, it was just a magazine, Cosmos magazine. So I started giving information, and from there trying to sustain it and also to give the audience what they need the most. I started making clothing for pregnant women and breastfeeding moms, because the magazine was also about parenting, pregnancy, breastfeeding, all the things together. And I started making the clothing. And as I was learning to improve my writing skills, I wrote about a personal story, the time I didn't have sanitary pads, and that's how now I started now focusing on period poverty, learning about how the other girls are going through this, women. Now started looking at it really like bigger than my story. So my story changed at the end, like publishing, it wasn't really my story, it was about like now the period poverty as like an issue to everyone, to every woman, like an issue with like women's rights and their dignity and everything. And like the whole year 2017, I kept writing, improving my writing skills. And 2018, that's when I looked at, am I going to keep publishing about girls missing school? Or I can just try to close the gap. Though I will just, let's say, reach a fraction of the number that is struggling, but at least I can start if other organizations or initiatives join, we can cross the gap together. And that's how I started KosmoPads. And the main purpose was, as I was writing, I found out that in Rwanda we had 18% of the girls and women missing school or work because they can't afford to buy menstrual products. So for me, the target was really like, how can I bring something that is cost effective? Because if I try to innovate something disposable, I don't have magic to create something that will really cut the cost if everyone has been trying and the 2 million people can't really afford all this time. So the main purpose for Cosmopads was the cost effectiveness, and they last for 2 years. So like saving money comes in the course of 2 years. But looking at like which product should I make, what's like the other side, like the other attributes of the product, that's when I learned that actually some heavy chemicals, actually there are people who are allergic to those chemicals in disposable products. Actually, the reusable ones are protecting the environment. So I kept learning about other attributes of really like what can I bring as I was designing the product. So we ended up now having a product that is saving costs, offering comfort to people who are allergic to chemicals, and now saving money, and the environment at the same time. So from there, though, like I had some other awards before, but I think from there I can just like jump to now what it became. Sorry for the noise. I think it's going to become a lot, but yeah, like from there, as I grow now, I came back to kind of like making a story, because it was now a lot of things we were working on. Now coming to like where should we put our focus and what should be our story? Because in the beginning, I would meet someone in, like, let's say I meet someone in the publishing meeting because I have a magazine. But the other time we met when I was having the clothing for pregnant women or something like now fashion. No, like everyone was like, I thought you in fashion, I thought you in IT, I thought you in media. Now you in pads, in that way. And at the end, I had like to check like how do I tell my story for the people to look at me in the demographics I'm serving more than the solution I'm using, or the product I'm bringing, because they were just like they were more into the product, the solution, more than like we are solving this, we are helping women, we are into women's health. So yeah, I had to like to put everything together, and from there, I think like different awards that we've got included like some of like grants for supporting our growth throughout the journey. Different projects we tested and didn't go through, but at least we learned from that. We knew that this is actually this. But like 2019, I think that was the first award that had exposure. Not because it was the first award I got, but I think it was the first, the Youth Connect Africa Awards, because it was really a big audience. And after that, the Invest to Impact Award, both the way like consecutive months in 2019, and it was like for women's empowerment, and the Youth Connect was about women in innovation for girls. I think those were really like the bigger ones. We had COVID. Now it was another shift, because our focus, when I started, I was really like the target was we will be distributing in schools because girls are missing school. So our target was mainly let's have um, collaboration with schools. We will be like exceeding through schools. Now 2020 was another year for coming back to our business model, because now schools were closed. Um, Now we started now with the website, we integrated the e-commerce. Now we started even like now pushing, I don't need the noise review or anything. I can hold on.
Okay, no,
It
that's
will
fine.
just
I
pass.
mean, yeah, no,
You
it's no
pass.
post. I mean, like your story is so inspiring. I was just like wrapping, digesting all the ideas, and it's so like it's inspiring and like it's fueled with passion from the fact that probably like, I guess you started writing for like because you probably wanted to grow your skill, probably wanted to put yourself out there, but then in doing that, you actually identified a problem and you're like, okay, how can I help like girls like in Rwanda, probably like making them being more aware, or like you were just navigating that space and then you actually found a real problem and then you diverse. Like I think it's a good example of like you kind of like start as an entrepreneur, you first of all start like touching everywhere, then you identify like a true problem and then now you start diving into it. And I think when Raisa was talking to me about like what you do, I was like, this is so cool because I didn't even know there was like reusable pads and stuff like that. And I did not know like that like there was issues like girls actually missing school because like they don't like because of their period. And it was so interesting. And she actually mentioned that you guys started by like educating like people how to like probably take care of themselves or probably like how to make the reusable pad, but then there were some issues, so you actually turn into like producing it. So like it's really interesting, and yeah, I can we can continue the discussion by me just like asking my next question, which is how like we read, I'm not sure exactly where again, but that Cosmopad grew like from a team from three to probably like about 100 employers. I don't know if employees, I don't know if you have already made the goal of like 100 employees, but we would like to know like what was the biggest challenge in like scaling like in Rwanda. Just like you said, you started like nobody knew about recycling like parts you can recycle. And how did you start like changing that mentality? Because it's difficult for people to like adopt a new product. So I'd like to know that about that.
Yeah, like so starting that 2019, that's when I had like three, because before that I had like contributors, mainly like people working on projects or volunteering, but they were not really permanent. So 2019, that's when I had the three working on KosmoPads full time.
Yeah.
And from there, so we had like different juggling through different challenges, growth, different things till 2022 when we had funding for our growth plan, and we grew the team to produce like more and be able to reach more. So we've had a permanent team, and we've had other like women cooperative in three different districts in rural areas that we trained to make the pads, because our plan was if there's a big order in the Western province, you don't need to be like delivering from Kigali. You can still do this. It would be just like we send you materials, you do the production, you distribute. So that's where the number became bigger. It didn't stay like as a full-time thing, but it was more let's enable more women to be able to make these pads, and also more women to be kind of like the community agents in distribution of these pads. It was mainly that, and like till now, as you mentioned, there's first thing about working on something that is stigmatized, or like a topic that like people don't even want, even if it's like the product they are used to, a topic that they don't just like freely talk about. Plus now bringing a new product, and now a new product that has another phase, because most of the time it's like the first person who talked about reusable pads, they were like those pads for poor, and it's not like the pads for poor. First, like now changing that name or the phrase they put to it, it was the first thing. And for us, the thing that helped the most, it was like someone who chose to buy it, not because they are poor. Sometimes it will be like, let's say a friend buys it, or someone who is allergic to chemicals and disposable pads, like, I have issues with this pad, let me try this. The two of them, someone who really like is wealthy, they don't have any issue with the cost effectiveness. Now they come, they buy, and they are the one who is talking about like how the pads felt, the change that they didn't know, the comfort and everything. So they have been helping us more than any other marketing we could do. Someone being able to be like, actually, I used it. Do you know? And we just give that real life experience about, do you know when you use it, it's different from this, because they have been using both. They know when they are talking about the discomforts, the other person knows what they are talking about. So that has been helping. But also on our hand, we keep talking about it because we know changing mindsets is not like, something you do in one day. We kept like talking, having programs on media, whether it's traditional or digital. And last year, because we have been talking about it, but it's still something someone might, some people we start talking, but we make reusable sanitary pads, and the first response is like, I can't wash. Yet the approach wasn't about selling to them. It was just more about, okay, we have this product. Maybe they are policymakers or they have another influence. We are not trying to pursue them to buy. We just tell them because there's a product, but like the first response is like, no, I can't use it. Like, we didn't tell you to use it. But like most of the time, someone like no one has ever like complained about like the comfort of the quality of the product. It's more of that thing about, if they are used to just using and throwing, if they feel like they can't wash, it's someone who has a choice, because they have a choice, they have the ability to buy the other ones. That's why they feel like, no, I can't wash, because they have something, they can afford something that they can't wash. But on the other hand, there's 2 million people who don't even have access to that.
Yeah.
For them, there is nothing about I can't wash because they've been washing worse than that. So for them, they don't have any issue. If there is any any request from them, it will be about the prices. Let's say if I can't afford the whole package, may I pay in installment? Those are the only like requests we get from the person who don't feel like, I have luxury to choose any product.
Yeah.
But last year, because like our story alone, like me standing up talking, it will be kind of the same way I talk about that thing. And if someone feels like they can't wash, they will still feel that they can't wash. Last year we started working with poets, so we
Yeah.
had like the whole campaign in May about menstrual hygiene, for the menstrual hygiene day, and we were working with poets now to bring it like in an artistic way, and we saw a big turn. There's someone who, when I come, I'm like, oh, girls are missing school. The same way I talk about this, they don't relate. But someone who just bring like one poem and they can be able to feel it. So it was really like different how we can use art to like to like kind of like
Yeah,
not
I get to
influencing
tell the
mindset as
story.
or as mindset, but like using art for people to relate. Because otherwise, if they don't feel like they relate, if they don't like feel anything that we make them connect to the story you tell, it's like sometimes it gets hard to even take action. So for us, we have been like using that. This year we are now working with like any like painting, mural artists. We are trying to have any sort of art
Yeah.
to help people. If something is stigmatized, they can talk about it. At least, do you look this picture and relate? Do you hear this piece of art and feel like you can feel the pain or something like that, or embrace womanhood? So we are trying to have any sort of way that we can have, first, for people to make the conversation normal, like have a
Yeah.
conversation, because when you can't talk about something, you can't even be able to know that someone is lacking something. So normalizing the conversation, and as we also mobilize boys to be allies, because like for rural areas, for primary schools, high school, for them sometimes the girl will miss school not because they can't have like something to use at all, but because last time they bullied her, because it stained and they bullied her. Now every time they have period, she's like, I don't want the bullies again. So now if we are mobilizing the world, this is a normal part of the girl, everything, because we can't control what we do after. At
Yeah.
least also like empower girls to know how to stand tall. When there is bullying, remember that you have to embrace your womanhood. Like on both sides, please, this is normal. Don't bully her. But also on her side, uh, even if they bully you, it's still something normal, something to celebrate. Now, like having both sides, and also the community to be really offering a period friendly environment for everyone who is menstruating.
Okay. Oh, that's very interesting. I think in all, it means the main like challenge was really like changing the narrative, and it's actually like one issue that we face at like one of the companies I work for, where we kind of like connect African developers to Europe, American developers, and the main issue we usually face is like they don't really think that African developers can get the work done, and really I see that that's really what you've been facing. And just to highlight a couple of things that just for like our listeners is like okay, the first thing was really like changing the narrative, sorry, And like the first customers you got, those people that actually bought it not because they were poor, but just like try it, or just probably those people that were allergic to it means that like they loved it, and that's what kind of like start pushing the word out there, which highlights the importance of like creating like quality product, and that your first customers are really important because those are the ones that actually like push the narrative out there. And I think there's this one story that Raisa highlighted. So I would just like say Raisa, like I've mentioned Raisa a lot, probably just for our listener. Raisa also works at KosmoPad, and she's one of like, yeah, she works at KosmoPad, and she's the one that introduced me to Blandine. So she mentioned about this fact that people usually consider period as nasty, but then when like people that have actually like used reusable pads and after gone through like the process of like washing them, they kind of start feeling that that's a normal thing, that is just blood, and it's just like a normal feeling, that change of mentality, and having more people having like that change of mentality, that like period is something normal, and even having guys talk about it and really feel that it's normal, it's just overall going to like help the girl child, and also like help stop like the issue of like somebody won't go for school just because like you're on your period. So wow, that's a very interesting story.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really like, yeah, I love that Raisa came back to like to that. It's like every time I feel like when someone doesn't know, they might not even understand what it is. But for us, when we grew up, the first thing we like experienced was that pad with chemicals.
Yeah.
Now the chemicals, like the first time we breathed, we just had a pad, we had a period on chemicals, we had a smell, and some people had rashes because it was irritating. So that's the experience of the period, and that's the story you want to talk to your friend, and you know you can't even talk loud because you know it becomes nasty, everything, until you have a different product.
Yeah.
And now the first time like someone is talking to the other person, you can see everyone will be like, actually I didn't like feel the smell. And it will be something someone highlights and it feels really different. And the first person who is like, I can't wash, it's just like in the mind, that thing, that smell, that rush, that all those like bad things they think that they feel when they're reading. And I think that's what they like we've had as like a picture on our part, like on our period, until they when they get a chance to let's try. Some of them will be just on, let's say, on a tour. They get
Yeah.
their period and they're like, do you have a pad? And they have a usable. I'm like, I have a usable. They use it just because they didn't have something else. And next time they will be the one to come back to tell me, actually, it was this. So now being able to experience the difference, and like washing one time, two times, three times, and coming back with a different story about actually, I got used to my blood. I now feel like, it's something normal. Now that people even start now embracing it in a way that they are like, how we know if I'm not healthy because the blood changes depending, with the period, the blood will change if I'm sick, if I'm having this and this. Now they start now like a different relationship with themselves. Hi,
Yeah.
Mia.
Yeah.
Hello,
Yeah.
I did not want to interrupt you. I'm so sorry. I got stuck in traffic and everything, but yeah, I'm so happy to be here with you all. Hello, Peng.
Yeah, I guess it was your plan to make me lead the conversation. Normally, this is not a guy's topic, but that's
Yeah.
fine. I've learned a lot. I think just taking back to like one thing, I'm going to summarize what we have gone through so far. But there's one thing I want to point that Blandine mentioned, which I actually did not know. So like the fact that like the bad odor usually that comes from pad is usually because like most pads use like some chemicals, and that combination probably with the blood, or like the chemical that tries to like keep the pad dry, that's what causes the bad odor. From the aspect that when you use actual natural pad, there's literally no bad odor. So I'm like, I did not know that, and I'm like, okay, so it means in fact that's a very good plus, and it's really good to know. So it's like just give a recap. We just like went through introduction with Blandine, and she kind of like started telling how like a story how she started like from the from the like the publication like sorry I'm losing my word like from the publication. I think you meant I'm losing my word that she
Happiness
started from like
magazine.
yeah, the magazine. That was the word I was looking for. Yeah, from the online magazine, educating girls and trying to like create that impact. And then from the point where she actually noticed that they can create an impact by probably like teaching people how to make pad, or even like producing eco-friendly pad, which is reusable, which is not expensive, especially for people that can not afford it, and really like drive that social impact. So yeah, that's so far what we have gone through, and just I have learned a lot. So I guess you're going to watch it and see. So going to my next question is about like the social impact. I really want to like hear from you, like a measure, like what's your own measure of like impact? Is it the number of girls you've probably like reach out? Is it like your purchase number, or is it like, for example, like have you heard about like the attendance of a certain school increase just because like you've been distributing part? Because I know that there have been a couple of donations on your website. So like by the way, I would like to encourage everyone to like if you're watching this, just go ahead, like I'll link it. You just go ahead and donate like to KosmoPads. So is it like how do you measure, like how have you been measuring like your social impact overall for the past years?
So, like for our impact, first, like the easy way to count is the number of girls or women reached with our pads. That's one. We are sure that at least for the next 2 years, they have something to use. They won't miss school, don't miss out on their economic activities or even meeting other people. So that's one. And apart from that, we go back when it's, let's say, schools, we go back, we document the impacts. We even share some videos on our YouTube about girls, even giving that like testimonials about like how they did it go, the difference. Now, by giving our products, the first thing we might think that is easy is just like they got a pad, now they have something to use during their periods and they come to school. But the difference is more like some of their own words they use. It was more about now I can't feel like that fear about having periods, because some other time it was more about it's not that I didn't have anything, but I didn't even know my cycle, or if they have, let's say, a piece of clothes but they don't know even their cycle, still it will come unexpected. Even if we give them the products, they don't know when they're having their periods, they might leave it home and they get it. Now, having also like that knowledge about it and the confidence. I think most of the time when you go back, like that confidence they get with like having a product, but also knowing what they are going through. But also like you can see like I don't know, like it kind of like restoring their dignity again. It's like I know for sure I will be bleeding, but no one will bully me for this, or this is normal. Anyone, it's the same conversation. Everyone is now understanding that. I think like apart from like the health, like being able to attend school, there is that confidence in the confidence in everything about like their life chances, believing that now they can do anything. It's just like one of the thing. And apart from the social, we also now record the environmental impact. I don't know. I think I talked about like now, like they can use it for 2 years, but is kind of the count of they can use it for 120 washes. So it's like using one KosmoPad, at least someone could use between 100 and 120 disposable pads. And now we go back to what the disposable pads mean to the environment, because they are recorded like as one disposable pad is recorded to impact the environment as 4 plastic bags. So now going back to when we make KosmoPads and distribute it and it's in use, the amount of plastic bags that we are now preventing to pollute the environment. So it's just like that record about how much are we preventing about the pollution, how many lives are we supporting with the menstrual health, how many girls or women are now continuing like going back to school or their work. But the most important thing that we don't get how to record, but that we feel most of the time when we interact with them in a qualitative way, it's that confidence, that thing that they retrieve, that like anyone can't just understand or quantify when someone is not able to even explain what's happening when they don't have that one like small pack of something that they would need every month. I think that's mainly that. For the quantitative one, it's easy to really like count. We distributed this number, now we got this. But like for those core ones, it's just we go back when it's schools, communities, we go back, we get a conversation together. When they allow us, we record and we share with the audience or like anyone else to even hear from themselves what's happening exactly. What does it mean when you give to one girl? What does it mean to their families? Because parents will tell you, now I can't struggle about how am I going to get another 1,000 every month for my daughter? So it's just like different things that can come together, but those are the main ones that we record. And the number of
Thank
jobs created.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Blandine. And what you're doing at KosmoPads is truly incredible. And like you mentioned, the numbers are easy to measure, but what's more difficult to like put a number on it is the number like what truly matters is not the numbers like how many women you've reached, but like the social impact you have, such as the YouTube testimonials and the impact that it has on the environment. And obviously the number of women that you've reached to matters a lot. And I don't know, I just really want to point out what you're doing is really incredible, because I remember when I was in, like when I just had my period, and you know, I was used to like using the, I don't know how I should call it. Should I say chemical pads? Anyway, the normal pads. And one time in school, there was this NGO that came to school and they gave us reusable pads. I was shocked. I was like, what is this? And my mom, she was also equally shocked because she has never heard of something like that during her time. And like it's true that she did not know that it's like a business model. So because you know, when in her day, she's like they used to just reuse their own clothes and stuff like that, but now you've taken that whole concept and built it into something huge, something that it's like girls can feel comfortable using it, and not because they would like feel ashamed to use a reusable pad or something like that. So it's truly incredible. Now, for our next question, please, we'll go a little bit over time because the conversation is just going, and we scheduled for 30 minutes. So we have 2 more questions to answer, well, 2 or 3, then we'll be over. So for our next question, we want to know about your funding journey, because tell us about the early days of KosmoPads. What strategies did you use as a startup to secure funding and to just keep the whole business afloat? So how did you face any challenges when convincing investors to believe in your vision and actually invest in you? So how did you go about that? How did you go about securing funding?
So yeah, thank you so much also for sharing. The first, I was more into information, like increasing access to information. So the first one, they were just more about like the information, the tech. And at the end, when I started focusing now on like what's the most urgent issue to solve, it was like this. And I think it will be like different thing. There has been resilience, yes. There has been first like solving the issue that is there, because it's obvious. It's not like a man-made thing. It's just like it's happening. So the first thing was about like the resilience and trying to look really for me. I leverage all the networks I get. So from the one, I make sure that I stay true to my values. I deliver what I promised I would deliver, because every time that the first network recommended to the other, it's easier. Like it goes straight when they recommend you, different from when you tap there yourself. So I make sure that I serve the promise I have given to the first funder or any other opportunity I got, to make it easier for them to be like, actually I can recommend this to any other opportunity. And I really leverage like the networks I get, the community I get, because that's how I got connected to different opportunities, whether in Rwanda or abroad. And apart from that, I keep like, I don't like, I just keep looking for different other ways and try to strategize in whether it's the sector, the regions, or like globally what's trending. And from there, I have that working on the issue that is really it's happening. It's not like I have to explain a lot about understanding that this is happening. I think that's one of the things that made some of the funding at least easier to convince someone, because it's like something easy to say, like people are bleeding every month, and 18% of them in Rwanda can't afford pads. So like that one, it was at least easy to say, although it's not that easy to even convince someone that actually those people should get like a certain amount to do, but like it's at least the problem they understand. Another thing that I think in my fundraising journey, for me, I had luck. I think like we can work, like both of us can work hard, but sometimes one get lucky. I think I got also lucky. Yes, I worked, but also I got like that part that I want. I won't say that I'm a genius here and here. Yeah, someone else was working also on something that is really needed, also urgent, but maybe they didn't get what I got. I think like for me, my takeaway was about not giving my experience when I started fundraising. I would spend a lot of time just like fundraising anywhere, anyhow, anything. And I was getting a lot of rejections because I wasn't reading all criteria. I would even go where they're giving funding in water. I would send my proposal where they're giving funding in maybe constructions. So like from my experience starting, I started now focusing, using my effort on like first knowing criteria, and if I send a proposal to someone who is looking in the sector I'm working on, it's easier for them to read my proposal. It was different from when I was just sending to anywhere, and I was getting exhausted for nothing. So that focus and working on something that is really like needed, or like a cause that is easy to understand, but also for me to be able to keep that resilience. Like I think that for anyone, if you fall in love with the problem you're solving, it's easier for you to keep pushing even if they reject your proposal. Because when you fall in love with the solution, when it doesn't win, you can even be depressed. So it's easy, like if it's about the problem, if the solution is not working, it's easier for you to pivot and just go first and keep the energy as you fundraise. So for me, those are the learning so far. And yeah, just from the beginning, just know if you're working on an urgent cause or something that is needed, as much as you put your effort and look for the right funders, it pays off.
Definitely, definitely. Taking away that you should fall in love with the problem that you're trying to solve, because the solution may vary, but So long as you're passionate about solving that particular problem, no matter the difficulty that you face, you'd always like be willing to not take no for an answer, and also be very specific about the type of funding. Like you should not be everywhere. It's true you should, not put all your eggs in one basket, but in this particular case, you should identify the right funding type and go for it. So thank you again for sharing that with us. Next, we also from your website we saw that KosmoPads isn't just like, it's also going into technology. You have Kosmotive isn't just about pads. So you also have KosmoHealth app and other digital tools, right? So how are you using technology to enhance women education, and like which other services do you have, and how has technology probably helped you in reaching out to more women, and how do you plan to use tech to integrate technology into your product in future?
Yeah, thank you. I think I said even before Cosmo. Uh, so for us, tech is like using information and technology is really like the bigger tool, because bringing a product, if there is no awareness, whether it's about women's health information, whether it's about where they can find a certain service if they have any issue, I feel like the product can even be wasted, or someone can have a product if they don't know how to use or what's happening with their body, they can even keep that product without using it. So for us, we keep both. Yes, we have a product, but are people informed? Do they know about their health? Are they able to even have a conversation? Do they know where they can find a service if they are facing ABCD? And most of the things happening with like in women's health, some of them are stigmatized. Some of them they're not willing to talk about it. Like recently it's been kind of trending about talking about menopause. Most of the people didn't know what's happening at that stage. And by the time people start talking about it, that's when you're like, oh, I didn't know it's even that like that hard. There has been a lot of things happening in women's health that people are not talking about, sometimes depending on the culture or even the knowledge or even the research, because most of the research we made conducted about women's health. So, like currently with our KosmoHealth, apart from just giving information on information, whether it's about women's health or where they can find healthcare services, we are now integrated, like using AI to, if someone still needs the privacy to be able to seek a certain information, because whether we talk about it, whether we advocate about being able to have free conversations about our health, there's still the culture, there's still someone who will feel like I need privacy to be able to talk about this topic. So we are using it now to serve anyone who needs privacy in any way to access a certain information about their health as a woman, and also where can they find the right service if they need to have an extra service that we can provide on our platform. So it's mainly that we are using, and we believe that strengthening our platform, we can be able to now to make it better in a way that it can even serve different clinics, different other health providers, if they have patients or other seekers who need a certain level of privacy when they are having either consultations or seeking information, they can have that. If it's about tracking their periods or anything that the AI can help without having to move, waste their time or money. Yeah, all that we need just to leverage everything that is possible for everyone to understand about their health, their body, where to get what,
Mm-hmm.
and be able to talk about our bodies or health.
Okay, that's interesting. Indeed, tech would just make the work so much easier, and you can reach a larger audience by using the tools that you mentioned. For our final, can you get me? Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay, so for a final question, you mentioned that you have plans to expand to other countries and even partner with larger consumer good companies. So, what is your strategy for scaling Cosmopass across Africa? I would personally really want to have it in Cameroon and even where I am, just like all around the world. So, are you considering franchising, like local manufacturing in other countries? Or even licensing your products to NGOs and even other governments. In fact, how would you ensure that your model remains sustainable and impactful while reaching new markets? So, what's your plan for growth, and what are the partnerships that you want to consider or are considering?
So yeah, thank you. Me, if I wish to be in Cameroon soon. So for our target, we've been here. We still have like some countries in East Africa, Kenya, DRC. We also have the Central Republic, yeah, the Central African Republic. Hmm. Now I'm mixing this country. Um, Central African Republic. Isn't it that? I think
Yeah,
that's
I
what
think the
they
Central
say.
African Republic. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just trying to say it in French. So yeah, we also have that, and for the southern part, we have Zimbabwe. Those are our now our near future targets that we are working on currently, and from there, by identifying those countries, it's just because that's where it was easier for us to have the first distributors. Now from there, we know how we can, with Cal, we'll be able now to go to other Central African countries, and like from Zimbabwe, we'll be able to to see how we can now get to other countries in the southern part of Africa. And for the East Africa, at least we can say we are here. We tried as much as we can. So far, the model that we use, yes, the franchising, we love that. In any country where we go, the first thing we put first is that we work with a local. We don't plan to set up anything in any other country. Like we prefer working with a local, someone who understands the culture, someone who is there working with the people they know. It's easier that way. And for us, yeah, we license what they prefer. So far, we haven't licensed anything about the production. We have been working with them normally in distribution. But yeah, in any country, we really welcome any collaboration that might happen in any way to improve women's health. And yeah, like the first thing we do is just we work with locals. We don't take anyone from Rwanda to go set up anywhere. We make sure that we work with the systems, the way they work, and someone from the same community. The same way we work in Rwanda, if we are working in a certain district, it's someone in that district. Working with someone really like there to serve their people. It's also I as like Burst was just like as I was sharing about like people love to be led. It's easier when someone relates to the person who is serving the same way they love to relate when someone is like actually this product is working. So yeah, that's every time our motto, whether it's in distribution or anything, we make sure that it's just like the same person from the same area uh, and see how we can grow together.
Okay, definitely. Like you mentioned, it's the model that you're using in Rwanda. That's the same one that you plan on using to expand to other countries. Just always empowering the locals and moving on from there. Now, I know I said that was the last question, but you're a lady. I cannot let you go without asking you this question. So, as an African woman entrepreneur, what advice do you have for other young women and girls that are starting out in their entrepreneurship journey? Or just what message do you have for the ladies? It may not be business related, just tell us something, inspire us.
I think the first thing is it will be related to what I said about it's good to like to if you to do anything, do something that has a social impact. Because I'll give an example of the COVID time. If someone has started something just because of profit, there was a period when people were not even making profit. But if you're serving something that has another impact, it was living. It was more of, I'm having this impact. It's so different from if I came for money and I'm not getting money. You can just really feel bad. But if you came just doing something that has an impact and you for money, sometimes when you're not getting the money you want, at least you can lean on the impact you created. So and for women, we are really good at really like understanding if there is any problem you care about, you're the right person to solve it. So don't wait for someone else. You're the one. I think it's in the saying, you're the one you've been waiting for. So just like go for it. Make sure you have the right network. And if you're seeking advice, seek from the people who understand. We get to, like entrepreneurs get to be frustrated, my family, my friends, they've been telling me to stop this and this, but they were giving you the advice from the place of love. If they feared starting something, why are you seeking advice from them? Because that's what they fear. They are giving you what they feel like is safe. And for them, maybe what's safe is getting a job. So make sure you have the right network. Seek advice from the people who understand. They will be the one um, to inspire you or to give you like tips on how to succeed. And what else? I think with that, it's easy to win. When you're working on something you care about, you have the right network. Another thing, as you mentioned, like specifically for women, I think another takeaway that I had is about like I think it's from Michelle. Um, that women most of the time, we get all these motivational speeches. Women, you can have it all, and you get inspired, you get excited about, yeah, I can have it all. But one thing that won't make you feel like burnt out sometimes, sometimes it happens at the same time. I think she was saying like sometimes they forget to tell us you can have it all, but they forget to tell us that they might not happen at the same time because there is like there is a truth about our body. So yes, you can give birth and kick off anything, travel, do everything, but sometimes you want not sometimes you want travel when you're giving birth at the same time. So some like yes, we can have it all, but let's be strategic about how we take those things. We will be able to have everything, but let's not just like jump into yes, I can have it, or and now blame someone who said it as if we couldn't have a strategy about how may I get all of them. So I think it's mainly that. Yeah.
Thank you so much for giving us those words, and thank you for sharing the story of Kosmotive with us. Thank you for sharing your journey from when you began to right now. We are incredible, like we are grateful for it. And like we mentioned, from your conversation with Peng, I'm sure he said that this full interview would be available on our blog. And we would like to request for pictures of yourself, your team, and just any I don't know, testimonials that you want to be displayed on our blog. That would be welcome, so we can add it to the article and just showcase you in all angles. So please share that with us, and it would be helpful. I guess that is it. That is it. It was really great to get to know you, not just Kosmotive, but like you as a person, to get to know what drives you, what drives Kosmotive. And we just look forward to having more women like you who, not just dare to dream, but to pursue it and not take no for an answer.
Yeah.
Thank you. It
Thank
was
you so
nice.
much. Yeah, thank you so much, and thank you for going over time. I just have one request. Can you share us like your t-shirt size? I'd like to share like some t-shirts to you.
Oh, that's so kind. I think it's small. So far,
Okay.
it's small.
Okay. Then I'll send it through, Raisa.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. All right. Have a
Okay,
nice day.
thank you very much. Bye bye,
Thank you
Blanche.
too.
Bye bye.
Bye. Have a nice evening.
Bye.